Shoptalk number 9.
Number 9!
Welcome back, and we are... Last week we took a break. We didn't do a shop talk. And,
Earth Day,
yeah.
isn't it?
There's going to be less videos for the next little while I try to power through a few things in the shop, but I will be getting back to that.
Yeah. And I'm teaching too much right now, so I also will get back to that. I know you're waiting.
Yeah, but we did have a few questions. I put a little bit of a shout out asking for questions, and got a few responses. Which one do we want to start?
Whatever one. You go ahead. Bridge plates?
Let's start with the strings.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna start with somebody was asking what's the deal with strings?
Yeah, what is the deal with strings?
Yeah, which ones are best, which ones... And I think it all comes down to the same thing that we always say, and it's it's totally subjective. Some people like strings that are dead sounding. They'll leave their strings on the guitar until they're rusty, and then they like the sound of them. Some people like crisper, like
some people like bright, some people like them lighter.
Yeah.
Does the weight though actually, like any guitar that you build, is it going to be able to withstand any string?
Well, it should, no. Theoretically, for a little while.
Yeah, okay.
I would not put heavy gauge strings on a guitar that hasn't been built to withstand heavy gauge strings. I forget what the difference in pull is, but for light gauge strings, it's light and mediums, it's around 180 pounds.
We go with 180.
Yeah. Personally, I feel like as a guitar maker, it's smart to build so that it will withstand. So, in case, let's say your guitar gets passed down to your grandchild, but your grandchild likes heavy gauge strings.
Right.
Then you want to make sure the guitar is not going to blow up.
Right. But it could.
Yeah.
The heavier gauge.
Yeah.
It's not built for that. It's not the way we design our guitars.
No.
Huh.
Yeah, what else? I guess every string brand has a different sound too, or like each model of strings, line of strings. I guess.
Just what they're made out of. It's just different.
I also think that certain strings can complement certain guitars better than others. Personally, I feel like my guitars work really well with Elixir strings. That's personal preference, but also sort of the sound that I'm going for. So I think it works.
But somebody could take your guitar, like I could put different strings on completely, and I'd be happy with the sound that I would get from those other strings.
Yeah.
Because that's the sound that I'm going for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I will say that I like medium gauge on the bass.
Right.
So my guitars standard come with medium light, a combination set, which is, I think that's like a standard bluegrass set, and that just gives the bass a little bit more oomph.
Yeah, I like that too. I like oomph.
Yeah, most guitar players like oomph.
Yeah.
So that's my leaning.
Yeah.
Some people find Elixirs too shrill. I don't really find that, at least with my instruments. But that could just be the way my guitars respond to those strings.
I haven't tried. I've only tried the slim keys. Anyway, yeah. So whatever. You just have to try. It's basically.
Yeah.
Try some different strings. They're not that expensive.
Yeah.
For guitars, it's not like you're buying cello strings, for crying out loud.
Yeah. There is another note that if you're buying a set of strings that has a wound B string.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, like I've never actually built one for that, but if you have a wound B string, the intonation is going to be different. The
Right.
intonation point on the saddle. So if you're wanting wound strings,
You need to get a
on your-
different saddle.
you might find that your intonation's off unless you
Hmm.
switch that saddle out.
Is this a popular thing? I've never heard.
A what? Probably?
Yeah.
Honestly, I've never met somebody who plays with the wound B,
Okay.
but I imagine like it's out there.
Well, check. You mentioned that now.
Yeah.
Now I have to try it.
Yeah. Yeah, but nano web coated strings. That's another thing. Certain strings last longer than others because they don't corrode as quickly.
Yeah, which can be nice actually.
That I put nano web coated strings on my guitars. They do last about 2 times as long,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Depending on how sweaty you are
I think it's depending
or how much you play it. Exactly.
Yeah, but there is a downside to that because all that nano web coating it's like plastic,
Right.
and that eventually ends up in the oceans and stuff.
Ooh.
I mean, so many things are plastic though.
Yeah, that doesn't excuse it, Zach.
I know.
So
I know.
no more nano web coating for me.
No more nano rusty strings from now on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Go through twice as many strings, or half as
Yeah.
many in nano web.
I don't know. I've played some pretty rusty strings before. I like
And
it.
there's a cool
Yeah.
sound about it.
It can
There's
be.
definitely.
It's
Yeah.
the smell afterwards.
Oh
that's kinda
yeah, that's the worst.
disgusting.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's strings. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't use a ton of different strings here, so we but
Yeah,
you know,
pretty much stick
try
to the
them.
standards.
Try different strings. Have fun with it.
Yeah.
Bridge plates.
Yeah, bridge plates. Well, first of all, what is the function? What's the purpose of the bridge plate? First of all, it has to stop the balls of the strings from digging into
Right.
the bridge plate. So, the bridge plate should be a hard material, so that doesn't happen. Because if the balls of the strings start digging in and then get next to the bridge pins, it's a mess. You have to you can replace the bridge plate, but why build a guitar with a soft?
Yes. Why do it?
Yeah. So I don't like the idea of a rosewood bridge plate because
Right. It's
it's
softer.
just gonna I've always used maple.
I hear that it actually makes the guitar sound better.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
for
does.
Sure.
The maple adds a nice sustain,
That you
but
don't
also
get.
like higher frequency overtones. Yeah, in the bridge.
And a more responsive bass.
More, definitely.
Yeah, not just a
Yeah.
bigger bass, not more bass, not more low end, more responsive.
Yeah, because it stiffens the bridge area, so
Mhm.
the monopole moves a bigger area of the top as it. Okay, never mind. Okay, that is just.
We're making that up.
There is
Carbon
there is
fiber?
a downside. Yeah, carbon fiber. Yeah, that would work. There is a downside to hard bridge plate material, and it's usually that it's heavier.
Okay.
Right. So.
Yeah.
Um,
But you can use thinner. I guess you could use thin soft.
Yeah, I mean the other thing is it's also supporting the area where the bridge is, because the bridge is.
Right.
If you were to take, I mean there's some old examples, but guitars with bridges that are really narrow, and then with bridge plates that aren't very wide.
Yeah.
There's that whole torque
Twist.
motion is happening in this much space as
Mhm.
opposed to the bridge plate, which is
Right.
this wide. Then I think the bridge plate definitely helps to distribute
Right.
some of that pressure so that you're not.
And again, a hardwood would do a better job of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that the orientation of the bridge plate grain, I've always done it across the grain at the top. So theoretically, the bridge pin holes end up almost in line on a grain line,
Right.
which is not ideal, but it's glued to spruce that's cross-grained. Bridge plates do split, but personally I don't think it's because there's holes in those. It's more because the bridge and the string ball are wedging.
Right.
And like
and it's just
trying
kind
to
of forcing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same with bridges splitting. It's tight bridge pins.
Right.
It's not.
It shouldn't be from this.
The holes being you can have tons of holes in a grain line. If there's no wedging action, it's not gonna.
Right. You
not gonna
still
do
have
anything.
to open it. Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
bridge plates, yeah. Otherwise, yes. Some guitar makers put their bridge plates at an angle so that you don't. The grain orientation on an angle so that you don't end up on a grain line.
Right.
Sure.
Mm.
I don't know.
You've never had to, and you've never had a problem yet?
No. Never had a problem. Yeah.
Cool.
What other topics?
And then, since we have the fingerboard here,
Wait, did
I
we
thought,
cover the bridge plate in that?
there's that, yeah, I don't know. What else do you have to say about bridge plates?
Well, Mike Kennedy mentioned if you do a string through
Right.
bridge, then you can use a softwood bridge plate.
Right.
Which means you have less weight.
Yeah.
Which is maybe something to consider if you're designing a guitar.
Right. Yeah, because he just does it up top through the bridge itself.
Yeah, the
doesn't
string.
go through the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is.
Yeah, I think that's
Nice.
pretty thorough.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you use maple, but you could use whatever you want in there, really.
Yeah.
Plywood.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just saw some plywood over there.
Thick, ebony. Yeah.
Ebony, yeah, just make it nice and heavy. Jatoba.
Jatoba. Eric loves Jatoba.
Yeah.
Brazilian chatty.
Yeah, it's nice.
It is nice.
Yeah, is that enough for the bridge plate then?
I think so.
Yeah. By the way, if you build a bridge that is floating on top, then you don't even have to worry about a bridge plate.
Yeah, assuming you have support underneath the
Yeah.
feet. Yeah.
Yeah. Just build the.
Yeah.
We hope anyway.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a fingerboard here. I just thought, why do you bind all of your fingerboards?
Right. So, binding on the edge of the fingerboard just means you're covering the ends of the slots. So all these slots that are on the surface of the fingerboard, you can't see them on the edge. Therefore, there's no fret end that's sticking out except for the part that's over top of the binding here.
Mm-hmm.
So, aesthetically, it looks nicer because you have a clean edge. There's no like slots with little holes that you have to fill with epoxy or something afterwards. Also, with humidity going up and down, fluctuations, your frets can actually start sprouting or sticking out the sides. If you have bound fingerboard like that and it's sanded back a little bit, you have a little bit more time before that's an issue.
Which is nice.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't like sprouting
No.
finger frets.
But it's pretty simple to do that. It's just a matter of making your fingerboard narrower and then cutting your fret slots
Before you.
and then gluing binding on and trimming it down to flush. Pretty basic. I highly recommend doing it this way.
Yeah.
Also, I posted about the off-center dots here.
Right.
Which
I don't know if you can see it from there, but it is.
I think a number of people thought that I did it by accident, but it's on purpose. If you put the dots closer to the neck, you have more room. Obviously, this fingerboard is going to get crowned, so the edge is going to come down. But also, you want some extra space in case the guitar, heaven forbid, ever needs to get resurfaced on the fingerboard. So if the frets need to get pulled and the fretboard needs to be planed, sanded, you have more room before you start sanding.
Right, and it doesn't actually look bad on a neck. Once it's all on the neck, it actually doesn't look that out of place, really, you know.
Oh, yeah, as far as the center.
the center dots. Like it's,
Yeah.
we're talking about center of the fretboard, but the whole neck exists beyond that. Like, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
we got some unbound
Yeah.
ones here, which really hurt.
Everything about that neck hurts.
Yeah.
This is an old Harmony neck.
It looks cool.
Also shows you why I don't use
Soft fingerboards.
yeah, rosewood for fingerboard materials.
Right.
Gets grooved right in from fingernails and
Yeah.
stuff.
So hardwood for fingerboards.
Yeah.
Is generally the way to go. And yeah, put your dots a little bit lower, and your kids don't have to worry about it in the long run.
Yeah.
Okay. So there you go.
Okay, you wanted to talk about
yeah.
scarf joints?
So, you know, does it make it stronger if I make a scarf joint, and that's where you take part off the top and you glue it underneath so that you can have your head angle back?
Yeah, okay, so scarf joints, they do add some strength, for sure. Another thing that adds strength is volutes. So,
Do you have a volute?
we all know
Just in case the kids don't know what a volute is these days.
this is a volute.
There you go.
It's like extra wood in this area, and if done nicely, it can really add to the look of the guitar.
Yeah.
But it's adding some structural stability to right where the weak spot is. And you have all heard of Gibson guitars.
We're not going to mention any
with
names,
neck
but
breaks.
Gibson guitars.
Oh, everybody knows.
Yeah,
I know.
You think
And,
Gibson knows?
Well, are they still doing it?
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyways, if you have a volute, I don't see a reason for doing a scarf joint, unless your wood grain is wild. Like if you have some crazy wood grain that's making it structurally unstable, then that can be problematic. Another thing you can do is if you're putting, there's a head veneer on the top. If you're putting a head veneer on the back as well, that really makes it more rigid and stabilizes that area.
It also hides the scarf joint.
Yeah, if you do a scarf joint.
Yeah, if you do a scarf joint.
Yeah.
What is another reason then for doing a scarf joint? I just happen to have a whole bunch. You see them doing back there. I don't know if they can see it in the background, but
well, it is definitely more efficient when it comes to wood use.
Right.
So you can take a straight piece, a board, 1-inch board, and turn it into a neck, as opposed to cutting out of a thick slab the actual angle of the head.
And
so, sorry.
Yeah, and we have blocks that you're cutting out of, and it's like you do try and get 2 out of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you're trying to be efficient with the wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's always some waste, and there's always going to be some waste.
There was waste when they first cut it too.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, as far as it does take some extra time. Yeah. If done properly, it's not going to be like an obvious thing on the guitar.
Yeah, I think it's cool either way.
Yeah. But if you're going to do like Gibson and make a truss rod slot that's really wide,
yeah,
you don't want to not have a volute or something.
Right.
And I'd say you'd want a scarf joint in addition to that.
Right. You could also, if you really wanted to, you could stick some carbon fiber in there to help out a little bit.
That always
won't
helps.
go far enough though, will it? How far in does it go?
Mine doesn't go into the neck, but
okay.
I mean, ideally, I should probably extend it into the neck, but I haven't tried it that way. But I've never had a problem with the joint there.
You got a nice
volute. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I do. I like your volute.
Oh, thank you.
Good one. In fact, I've stolen it from mine.
Oh yeah, right. I like volutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, carbon fiber is always a good idea in the neck, I think. It's the 21st century. Why not use modern materials
Mhm.
to our advantage.
And then it disappears and nobody even knows anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the
Although-
secret sauce.
Although, I was at a guitar show and Alan Beardsell, really great guitar maker, came and played my guitars, and he was playing and he's like, "Is there carbon fiber in this neck?" I was like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" I guess it does feel a little bit different. So bending the neck,
Ah,
it
right,
doesn't.
if
It's
you're
not as,
that.
yeah, it's not as bendy.
Okay.
But you know, that's a good thing in many ways.
In a lot of ways, yeah.
Yeah. Curly maple can be unstable for necks, so putting carbon fiber rods in it really stabilizes it. And,
Nice.
It does make the truss rod a little bit harder to turn, just so you know. But that's just because it's having to counteract a little bit with the
Right.
rods.
Just having to fight those carbon fiber rods
Yeah.
a little bit.
So-
Cool. Yeah, so today looks like it's, funnily enough, we were working on necks, both of us the last little while when we get chances, which it hasn't been a ton. And the questions happen to be around,
Yeah.
neck strings and that kind of. Yeah, I guess there's really not much to a guitar. Anyway.
Yeah, it was weird. It was about
Yeah,
guitars.
about guitars. Awesome. Well, all right,
Yeah.
cool.
Well, thanks for joining us. If you have any topics for next week, let us know. And
Yeah,
catch you next time.
yeah. Have a good one and enjoy the sunshine,
If there is any.
if there is any.